This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Stugotz, I talked to Dominique Foxworth this morning, who said our guest here, Drew Bledsoe, was the best of the athletes last night doing the comedy. It's high compliment. You don't expect to be better than the comedians, the professionals. I would assume that most people in that circumstance would be scared, no matter how confident they are. So Drew joins us now. Thank you, Drew, for joining us. When is the last time you were that scared doing anything?
I was a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. But I did actually prepare. You know, I might do a lot of speaking in public and all that. But actually, I was a little bit prepared for that one last night. But yeah, I was nervous. You know, it's high stakes. There's some really funny people up there. But being the funniest athlete, I mean, that's kind of like being the tallest. Right? I mean, you know, not like I was taking down Nikki Glaser or anything.
Well, but I felt bad.
You took down Gronk.
I felt bad for I felt bad for Randy Moss and a bunch of people because the pressure and the expectation of funny when surrounded by those people, and you're not necessarily a public speaker used to being on television in front of millions of people and your friends. So I actually thought it was a terrible spot for you guys to be in. So to overcome it shows a measure of bravery. No lie.
Let's go put the comedians on the football field and see how they do, right? I think we would do better at comedy than they would do at football.
What were the things from last night that stayed with you?
On our way to go play golf with a bunch of the comedians, you know, some of it was so rapid fire and so fast that I kind of can't wait to go back and watch some of it. But Andrew Schultz closed the show, and he was just a killer. Nikki Glaser, man, her set. I told her last night after the show that she's like a Bond villain. You know, she's really pretty and she's just an absolute murderer when she gets up there. So she was fantastic. Gronk did a great job of being Gronk. You know, it's funny, we're sitting up there and I can look at the teleprompter. Dude, he was so far off script, I didn't know if he was ever going to come back. But he pulled it back in.
Let's play for the audience a couple of the jokes last night from Drew Bledsoe and just get his assessment on a little review on these jokes and if he thought he had done anything better than these jokes over the course of the evening. Go ahead and play that sound, please.
Buddy, you know, you have more rings than I do, but I've experienced a couple things that you will never experience. You know, the feeling of being the #1 overall draft pick in the NFL. And a 28th wedding anniversary. It was yesterday. You know, obviously, buddy, you got really used to not being touched, right? Just like the end of the marriage.
Look at him.
He's laughing
he's
at him. He's pleased with his performance.
Did you have any joke writing help, or did you handle some of that on your own?
Yeah, I'm sitting here next to my bro. Adam, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, my bro, one of the funniest humans I know. He helped out, and then I'm gonna get in really, really big trouble for this, but I'm willing to wear it. The Giselle joke that actually came from my wife. Don't tell her I told you.
Wow.
But it was but the truth is it was a replacement for a joke that I had written that was far worse. And she said, no, you can't do that one. And so then she helped me write something that was a little more of a softball.
I want to hear that one so badly.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, no, we're not going there. She told me I couldn't say it. And then I really get in trouble if I actually told you the joke that she wouldn't let me say.
Did you write any of the jokes? I mean,
yeah, it's mostly there was a lot of it was my material. The thing that I really appreciated was that I was hesitant to throw in like the wine plug stuff because like, hey, look, I'm not going to go up there and just shamelessly promote our winery, but the writers actually wrote the wine stuff in for me, which was great. So I appreciated that because you know, it was more genuine because I wasn't shamelessly just trying to. We should talk about our winery. It's called Double Back.
You can text us the joke. Do you think Tom Brady's?
No, man, it was really.
Do you think Tom Brady's gonna get remarried like tomorrow so he can attempt to have a 28th wedding anniversary just because you said he'll never have one?
Probably, yeah. Never bet against him. Yeah, that was one of Nikki Glaser's best bits was you know, about, you know, Tom doing things that people said he couldn't do. and I'm not going to repeat what she said because it's not fit for radio. Yeah, I don't know, man. I hope he finds a good woman or man. There were a lot of gay jokes last night, so where there's smoke, there's fire. Maybe he actually does like dudes. Who knows?
Too many gay jokes, some might argue. Sam J here had some good comedy. Let's see what we've got here from Sam J and get Drew's assessment here.
The only ring you have is the one Tom won for you. So your Super Bowl ring is just like my strap-on. Just because you wear it doesn't make it real. He's been cucking you for years. And yet here you sit. You like that, don't you, you sick? Tom, do us a favor and this dude's wife already and get it over with.
They came at you hard, Drew.
She's so mean. I have my feelings were hurt. My feelings were hurt.
It is.
The truth is though. Do you think my wife kind of had a crush on him? She invited him over for dinner like every 2 weeks, so she may have had a crush on him. I don't think they consummated the relationship, but I do think she kind of had a crush on him.
There are a lot of people here talking about the moment that was caught. You could probably answer this question directly and solve the case. They are saying that the moment was orchestrated when Tom Brady came up to Jeff Ross and said to him, cut that out with the massage jokes at the expense of Bob Kraft. I thought it was too well acted, unlike the cold open that you guys did on the show.
No, that was an authentic moment, man. We're sitting up there on the stage, so I can see the teleprompter. I can see what's scripted and what's not, and that was not scripted. Tom came up to make sure they weren't getting after our buddy RKK. He's a guy that both Tom and I have true and genuine affection for. I didn't think he was going to be there. I didn't know he was going to be there until just before the show last night, just specifically so they would stay out of that, some of that stuff with him. But no, that was not scripted. That was Tom actually genuinely coming to his defense.
There wasn't a lot that seemed off limits, though. That seemed to be the only thing that was off limits. Was there anything else off limits by rule?
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier when we were doing like some of the pre-stuff. You can't go to the kids. And then I told him I wouldn't do any craft jokes. But other than that, man, everything was fair game.
Do you have a good story from the after party? Because Drew, I have to be honest, you sound like an after party right now. Like you had a night, didn't you?
We decided that we would go to the real after party last night, which was at the Comedy Store downtown with all the writers and comedians. And I'll just drop one name, and it's one of the only names that I would actually be willing to drop. But we sat there in a private setting and watched Dave Chappelle riff for about an hour and a half last night. So I do feel it this morning. It's definitely an after party, definitely an after party hangover, but it was worth staying up for. I mean, Dave Chappelle, in my opinion, probably certainly the greatest current living comedian, and honestly one of the greatest of all time. So man, we got to sit and riff with him last night, which was fun.
What could you tell us about watching Kraft and Belichick interact? You said you love Robert Kraft. I don't know how icy all that stuff is.
They had I don't know, probably a 15-minute conversation that nobody else got to listen in on back in the green room. Don't know what was said, but it was a pretty sincere 15 minutes where they had a good long conversation. There's great mutual respect there. Obviously, most successful combo of owner and head coach of all time. Obviously, Tom and the rest of that squad had a great. A lot to do with that, but no, there's still genuine respect there between those guys.
What can you tell us your feelings are on the Apple documentary about the dynasty?
I haven't watched that much of it, to be honest with you. I did watch like a couple of the early episodes, mostly because my son called me and he goes, "Hey, Brewski had some nice things to say, so you should tune in and check that out." So I haven't watched the rest of it. but from what I understand, there was some of it that was not very kind to Belichick, and that's not deserved, man. He is and always will be one of the greatest coaches of all time. Anything
step over the line last night for you? A lot of Aaron Hernandez jokes.
Yeah, there were, which obviously, always never maybe all that great to make fun of somebody that's passed. But no, I mean, it's a roast. You're the only way that you do it wrong is if you don't go all the way, right? So I think when Tom signed up for this thing, he knew what he was getting into, and yeah, we went all the way there. But that's what it's supposed to be. And the only rule when you do one of those things, you can say whatever you want to say. It just has to be funny.
Drew, we have about 20 seconds here. Final question for you. Anthony Edwards being compared to Michael Jordan. Your thoughts? Completely ridiculous, right? I mean,
I think he's a very, very special basketball player.
Right.
And comparing him to Michael Jordan is a very flattering thing for him as a basketball player, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Ask that question all week. Drew, thank you for making the time. You do sound like the after party, sir.